两位车手来自于5号车组的这个 Alex Fontana 以及谢安呢是拿下这个车手积分榜的榜首，所以究竟我们所有的车手将会在1个小时的比赛当中为大家呈现怎样精彩的画面呢？让我们共同拭目以待。Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the 5th stop of the 2019 season of China GT Championship right here at Tianjin International Circuit. I'm Sophie Lee. Behind me, 9 cars are ready for a 1-hour race in GT4 category. Car number 618, Rosgan and David Pan took the pole position. They're going to start it from the front row of the grid. So let's cross finger for all the drivers. 那在我们接下来非常精彩的画面即将为大家呈现之前，首先让我们一起通过一段视频来回顾一下，在我们的第4站秦皇岛站的时候 GT4 组别的一些精彩回放。And before all the excitement happen on the track, let's just cross back to the Qinhuangdao stop, which is the 4th stop in GT4 category. Enjoy.好的，在我身旁的618号从杆位发车的其中的一位车手潘君玲，今天你将来发车，而且也是你们本赛季驾驶着阿斯顿马丁赛车第1个杆位。那同样，我也听说是你第1次来跑这条赛道，会不会压力很大，以及是怎样做准备的？
其实是有一点点压力吧，对，因为是我们车的第1次发车，就是杆位，所以我就希望就是稳一点，就是发车的时候就。可以 顺一点，可以先稳住第1位吧。然后就是重点都是交给 Ross， 就是我们的 Pro， 可以就是顺利可以完赛吧。对。
好，希望你好运，好好准备一下，好吗？Thank you so much, David. David just mentioned about actually wanting to have a very smooth start, at the same time have a very good transition to Rosgan, which is his teammate. Good luck for car number 618 and cross back to your guys. 接下来时间转回到我们的解说间。
Thank you, Sophie, and welcome along everybody to Tianjin, to the V1 Auto World Circuit for round 9 of the 2019 China GT Championship. 15 turns around this 3.7 kilometer circuit, lots of long straights and several slow corners, and this should make for some very good overtaking opportunities, and perhaps also very hard on the brakes. Lots of very hard braking zones here at the V1 Auto World Circuit. You see the 10-minute board there being held up, and we'll be getting underway very shortly indeed. Here is the V1 Auto World Circuit, 15 turns, 3.7 kilometers, and lots of tight corners, lots of 90-degree corners there. A big sweeping section here, turns 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That'll be a real test for the drivers. And then a long straight coming out of turn 10 before braking hard down to the hairpin at turn 11. That's going to be critical, both in terms of entry and exit, because that also then leads on to a very long straight before the right-hander at turn 12, another long straight before another right-angle turn at turn 13, hard braking down into turn 14 and 15, the chicane, before a double right-hander turns 16 and 17 to start another lap of this V1 Auto World Circuit here in Tianjin. We're in North China at the moment, around about 1 hour away from the capital Beijing, and I'm pleased to say that a far cry from last time out in Qinhuangdao. It's lovely and warm here today in Tianjin, no torrential rain like we had last time in Qinhuangdao that you saw in the highlights package just then. The rain was so bad that in fact the GT3 race, the second race of the weekend, actually had to be abandoned before the scheduled hour. Thankfully, none of that today. It's nice weather today, and let's go down to the grid and hear more from Sophie.
好，在我身旁570号赛车的董亮，其实这赛季到中段之后呢，表现出来一个非常稳定的趋势，但是呢，同样也可以冲击我们车队甚至车手积分榜的榜首的这个可能。那今天从第2位发车，这周末的准备情况是怎样？跟大家分享一下。How is the preparation going on this weekend?
那这周其实我们也做了充足的准备，但是对于这条赛道来说，我们车队的车手应该都没有跑过这条赛道，所以可能还稍微花了一点时间来熟悉这条赛道。包括我自己，昨天反正我觉得可能还有一部分没有做到足够好，但是我昨天回去也认真学习了一下，然后希望今天的正赛我们能够有一个好的表现吧。然后关于这个年度。这个积分的事儿，我觉得因为毕竟第一站没去嘛，所以可能这一方面还会有一点缺失，所以可能我们只想把每一场比赛跑好，然后其他的就交给老天。
好，非常感谢董亮。So 董亮 just mentioned about actually the whole team did a very good preparation yesterday, especially no one in the team has ever had the experience right here in Tianjin International Circuit. So he also did a very good preparation yesterday. However, talking about the driver overstandings, because they are absent for the first stop, so just want to make sure each stop they can get as good as they can. Thank you so much. One more time, cross back to your guys. 再次转回到我们的解说间。
Yes, nice to hear from Dong Liang there. He and his teammate Charlie Fagg in the 570 McLaren. They qualified second on the grid, 1 minute 44.085, just behind David Punn, who we heard earlier on. David Punn and his teammate Ross Gunn on pole position in the number 618 Aston Martin, a 1:43.928. So not much in it at all at the front of the grid. Interesting to hear Dong Liang talking about how this race weekend in Tianjin is a bit of a leap into the unknown. This is quite a new facility. Some excellent facilities here at Tianjin, but of course that does mean that there's been a lack of running, and it's all a bit of a leap into the unknown for the drivers at the moment. There you see Dong Liang and Charlie Fagg. Dong Liang will be starting the race and handing over to Charlie Fagg, the British driver, the professional, who has considerable experience in British GT racing. And David Punn on pole position, also the amateur driver in that pairing. He'll be handing over to Ross Gunn, another British driver, another professional with considerable experience of GT racing in Britain and further afield. There it is. There is the 618 Aston Martin, driven by David Punn and Ross Gunn. Confirmation there that they sit on pole position with that time of 1:43.928 in the BSEM Aston Martin, the number 618 car there. The first time that car has been on pole position in the 2019 China GT season, and David Punn will no doubt be hoping to start as well as he possibly can before handing over to Ross Gunn for the second portion of the race. There we see the number 5 car. That is Chris Chia putting his helmet on. That car in 6th position. Chris Chia, not only the driver, but also the team owner there, so he has 2 hats to wear, and he'll be handing over to his teammate, the Swiss professional driver Alex Fontana, for the second half of the race. That is the number 22 car of Will Bamber, and first, Kuo Shin. Kuo Shin starting the race and handing over to Will Bamber, the New Zealander, for the second portion of the race. That car in 3rd position on the grid. Chris Chia and Alex Fontana in 4th place, not in 6th. You can see that car just opposite on the grid there. And that is the 868 car. That is the winning team McLaren of Luo Kailuo and Lei Ke. And they will be starting from 6th position on the grid. Luo Kailuo starting the race there, and he will hand over to Lei Ke for the second portion of the race. Next up, it's the number 6 car. That is the Phantom Pro Racing Mercedes, driven by He Xiaole and Yang Shi. He Xiaole just putting his helmet and his hands device on, and he'll be starting the race, handing over to Yang Shi for the second portion of the race. That is the 87 car in 8th position. The KTM Crossbow, driven by Wei Tianyi, who's sitting in the car now. Very interesting door there. There's no door on that car. The windscreen just pops open like that, and that's how the driver gets in and out. A very interesting design on that car. Then it's the 17 FIS Team AAI BMW of Qi Peiwen. No teammate for Qi Peiwen this weekend. He'll be driving the whole 1 hour race on his own. He'll still have to come in for his mandatory pit stop, but unlike many of the other cars and drivers, he won't have to hop out for his teammate to come in because he's pulling a double shift. At the back of the grid is Wang Hao in the 999 BMW M4. He did set a time that would have placed him 7th on the grid, but he was disqualified for a data logging issue. So Wang Hao, unfortunately for him, has to start from the back, but it should be fun watching him work his way up the field. Alongside Wang Hao in 9th place, the 2 Macau drivers of Mai Jiale and Ye Xuanhao in that number 9 car. In the number 4 car, excuse me, the Top Gun GT Lotus. So 10 cars on the grid, and we'll be getting underway shortly for 1 hour's racing for round 9 of the 2019 China GT Championship in the GT4 category. Later on in the day, we'll have GT3, GTC and One Make Trophy combined grid. But this morning, it's all about GT4 racing. And looking at the championship standings there, He Xiaole in 1st position, Alex Fontana and Chris Chia joint 2nd, Will Bamba in 3rd place, joint 4th, Liu Kai and Wei Tianyi. Joint 5th is Liao Yang, and then we have a 3-way tie for 6th, Lin Kang and Lo Ziho and Wang Hao. So still very tight, lots to play for. After this weekend in Tianjin, there's one more round, or one more race weekend, I should say, in Shanghai. That'll be 2 more rounds. So 4 more rounds to count towards the championship. Plenty of points to be won and lost. And all the mechanics, all the engineers, all the well-wishers off the grid now. And the drivers on the grid now waiting for that safety car, the Mercedes, to pull away. The safety car will lead them on the formation lap. And then towards the end of the lap, the safety car will pull into the pit lane. You see the 1-minute board there just being held up. The safety car towards the end of the formation lap will come into the pit lane, and then the drivers will form up 2 by 2. It's a rolling start, so they don't sit on their grid spots. A rolling start, as is common with GT racing throughout much of the world. But they'll have to form up 2 by 2. The red lights will go on, and when the race director is satisfied that everybody is lined up satisfactorily, the lights will go green and we will go racing. If the race director is not satisfied for whatever reason, then the lights will not go green and the cars will have to do another formation lap. So until the race director is satisfied, there will be a formation lap until the lights go green. The Mercedes just pulling away very slowly there. And then we'll be getting underway very shortly indeed for 1 hour's racing of this V1 Auto World Circuit in Tianjin. There you see the green flag being waved and the cars peeling off the grid for this warm-up lap. 3.7 kilometers, not too long. Not the longest track that we go to on the China GT calendar by any means. That honour goes to the Shanghai International Circuit, some 5.1 kilometers long, that one. But should be some very exciting racing here at Tianjin. 15 turns and plenty of overtaking opportunities. Lots of runoff areas as well, and I wonder if we might see a few of the drivers perhaps misjudging some braking points and ending up on the tarmac on the outside. Very common in racing these days, especially at new tracks, to have tarmac as a runoff instead of gravel or any other form of runoff where the car can potentially get bogged down or can potentially spin. Often the best way of slowing a car that's out of control is simply just having more tarmac, and you can see there as they go through the S's just how much runoff there is on the inside. And those curbs, very high as well. A few races ago in Ningbo, we saw a lot of curb hopping, and we saw a few punctures as well. So I should think the drivers wouldn't want to be riding too high up on those curbs. That car you see at the end is the medical car, incidentally. So that car follows the racers around on their first lap of racing. So in case there is a carambolage or an accident of some sort, the medical car can be on the scene very quickly. And you can see the concrete walls there, very punishing and very unforgiving. This is a purpose-built track, but it's got the feel of a street circuit there with the concrete walls and the wire fencing. No room for error at all there. And it'll be very challenging, very hard indeed for the drivers coming off that long straight there to judge the braking point for this right-hander, because they won't be able to see it until very late because of those concrete walls, and that's going to make things very difficult indeed. The medical car just going through at the back of the picture there. The safety car still at the front, and you see the cars just weaving from side to side, and that's just to get some temperature into their tyres. These tyres, they're slick tyres, they're not like the treaded tyres that you see on your road cars. These tyres designed solely for the racetrack, and if it were raining they would be using the wet tyres with the tread. But these totally slick, no tread at all, which allows for maximum grip, but they only work at their best when they're up to temperature. You don't want to be going into a race with cold tyres, so the drivers weaving from side to side, desperately trying to gain some temperature into those tyres. And you'll also maybe see them going forward and then braking suddenly as well, for the same reason, just to get some temperature into those brakes, which are going to be very cold at the moment. But once they start racing, the brakes will be very warm indeed. The number 17 car of Chi Pei-wen weaving, juddering from side to side. And we're coming to the end of the lap now. David Pun, the 618 Aston Martin, on pole position. The safety car is pulling in. David Pun on pole position. Dong Liang next to him. You see the lights at the top of your screen there, still red. The cars come over the start-finish line and it goes green, and we are racing here at Tianjin. David Pun getting a good start, but Dong Liang coming around the outside. Is Dong Liang taking the lead? No, David Pun manages to hold the lead as they go through the first sequence of corners. David Pun still in the lead. Dong Liang in second position. Lots of cars using the escape road towards the right-hand side there. But as they go through now into the right-hander, Dong Liang takes the lead. So Dong Liang in the 570 McLaren into the lead. David Pun just being nudged. David Pun in second position now, just receiving a nudge from the D2 Mercedes of Kuo Kuo Shin in third position. In fourth place, it's the second McLaren, the 868 car. As they come through, not too much in the way of incident just yet. Very slow at the back there. I wonder if somebody had a bit of a problem, but as they come through onto the long straight, it's Dong Liang in the lead. David Pun in second position, Kuo Kuo Shin in third place, and up on the inside is the 868 McLaren, the 868 of Luo Kuai Luo, and he spins him around. Kuo Kuo Shin being spun around by Luo Kuai Luo. Kuo Kuo Shin in the middle of the track, but he's managed to keep the engine running, just waiting for everybody to go by. Almost caught the Lotus there, but Kuo Kuo Shin, thankfully, that runoff that I was talking about just then, proving very useful, allowing Kuo Kuo Shin to get back into the race. Just received a bit of a tag there. It looks as if perhaps Luo Kai Luo has suffered a bit of damage. It looks as if maybe a little bit of bodywork on the front. Yes, you can see the front left of Luo Kai Luo, in third place, that front splitter, and a bit of bodywork coming off there. I wonder if he might have to come in to the pits to have that looked at, because we certainly don't want lots of sharp pieces of bodywork strewn all over the track, which could be very dangerous indeed for the drivers. But as they come through to start another lap, it's Dong Liang in the lead. David Pun getting very close behind. Dong Liang going a little bit defensive there as they come through to take the racing line for this first turn. Dong Liang in the lead. David Pun close behind in second place. Luo Kai Luo still in third place, so he doesn't seem to be suffering too much, but you can see the front splitter just dragging on the floor a little bit there. Then the two Mercedes of Chris Chia and He Xiaole in 4th and 5th place. There they are at the back of the picture. Wang Hao already up into 6th place from 10th on the grid, so he's made up 4 places, having had to start from the back. But good close racing on the front now. Dong Liang still in the lead, David Pan in 2nd place, and Luo Kailuo looks as if he's catching David Pan, so certainly doesn't seem to be suffering. Weaving a little bit under braking, and and a collision there. Dear oh dear, that was the 868 car, Luo Kailuo, and it looks like that car could be terminally damaged. You can see fluid coming out there. Luo Kailuo was weaving a little bit. I wonder if he had a bit of trouble under braking. It's a very hard braking zone there, very fast, and they have to slow down a lot. And I wonder if, well, you can see Luo Kailuo. Let's have a look at the replay there. Look at the car just weaving from side to side. It looks as if he's just struggling to stop. And David Pan gets a big whack into his right-hand side, but manages to keep going. But Luo Kailuo, his race very much run. He's still in the car, still moving around. Looks as if he's all right. But Dong Liang at the front there, now in 1st position. The two Mercedes cars of Chris Chia and He Xiaole in 2nd and 3rd places now. Wang Hao up into 4th place. We haven't seen the Aston Martin of David Pan, but the safety car is coming out. You can see there, the safety car is out. And Dong Liang on the left-hand side there, the race leader, will line up behind the safety car. The two Mercedes, 2nd and 3rd, Chris Chia and He Xiaole, so they're up from 4th and 5th on the grid, so they've done quite well out of that. But David Pan, very disappointing. Started on pole position, and then he did seem as if he got underway again, but we haven't seen him so far. There you see Luo Kailuo getting out. That car, unfortunately, his race is run. A lot of damage to the front left there. David Pan in the Aston Martin did get going again, but he did take a very big whack on his right-hand side, and I wonder if that might have damaged the suspension or the wheel. We certainly haven't seen him coming round. The yellow flags are waving. That means that there is a hazard on the track and that there should be no overtaking. And there you see David Pan into the pits, so they're having a look at that, clearly having a look to see if there's suspension damage. You can see the bodywork there. Bit of gaffer tape, that's the very low-tech solution, but sometimes it's quite effective, and you can see just gaffer taping that door shut there. But I think they're mainly concerned about that the front axle, the front suspension, because Dong Liang took a big whack, and I wonder if there's a bit of damage there, because that's no easy fix. If it is, they may have to retire David Pan from the race. And very disappointing if they do, not just for David Pan, but also for his teammate Russ Gunn, who was going to take over in the second portion of the race, and indeed for Charlie Fagg. Or for Lei Ke, excuse me. Lei Ke, who is Luo Kailuo's teammate, because we know that that 868 McLaren is not going to feature again in this race. Here we have another replay of the start. David Pan initially held the start, held his pole position, had the inside line for that first corner, but then Dong Liang had the inside for the following right-hander and managed to take the lead as they went through the right-hander there at turn 3. Then Luo Kailuo going through into third position there. Luo Kailuo in the wars a little bit because he spun Kuo Kuo Shin round on lap 1, and then the very next lap, here we see it again, just struggling to stop in time, got a little bit of a slide on and went slamming into the side of David Pan's Aston Martin. And that was the end of the race for Luo Kailuo. There he is, doesn't look terribly happy with himself. 53 minutes of the race still to go, and it's never nice to have to retire so early on. All the mechanics, engineers and well-wishers looking on with keen interest. The safety car is going to bunch the pack up again, and so when we restart, when the race director has decided that it is safe to do so, the safety car will come in, and we will have a restart very similar to the rolling start that we had to begin the race in the first place, with Dong Liang now in the lead. And that 868 McLaren being towed away. Thankfully, there's an escape road very close by, so shouldn't take too long to clear away that car, and we should hopefully go racing again very soon. The safety car just coming out. You can never be too safe in motor racing these days. Lots of safety precautions. And that car, the 868 McLaren, beached in what could have been a rather dangerous position. No easy way of moving it in a hurry, so the safety car comes out to neutralise the race. The clock is still ticking, so we're still racing. So the clock doesn't stop when the safety car is out, even though the race is essentially neutralised. You can see the clock still running in the top middle of your picture there. Just under 52 minutes still to go, as the number 4 Lotus just brings up the rear there. So the safety car, you can see the lights on the top of that Mercedes there, still flashing. When the safety car is due to come in, those lights will stop flashing, so that's the cue for everybody to get ready for the race restart. But you can see a lot of debris still at the hairpin there at turn 11. A lot of debris there, and you don't want to be running over that with your slick tyres, because that could very easily cause a puncture. So now that the cars are safely through that section of the track, I suspect we'll see a few of the marshals picking up some of the debris there. And you can see to the left of your screen now just how much debris there is, not in terms of bodywork, not damage from any of the cars, but just sometimes the tyres will throw off little bits of debris. You can see just to the right-hand side of your picture there. By the end of the race, there'll be lots of what are known as marbles, and little chunks of rubber having flown off the tyres during the course of the race. And that's why it's very important for the drivers to be on what's called the racing line. You can see a big black line there as they go through the corner. That's because that's the ideal racing line that a lot of the drivers like to take. When you go offline, not only are you potentially compromising the line for the corner, which means you won't be going as quickly, but you'll also run the risk of getting your tyres dirty, because they'll be going over all those marbles that are stuck on the track. So it's very important to be on the racing line as far as is possible. And you can see the racing line, a nice black line on the track there as they go through the final corner. The safety car not coming in just yet, so we have another lap under the safety car. 50 minutes still to go, 10 minutes gone. And one of the cars coming into the pits, that looked like the number 4 Lotus coming into the pits. Each of these cars has to make a mandatory pit stop, but the pit window for that stop opens when we've had 25 minutes of racing. There is a 10-minute pit window, during which time all the cars have to come in for their mandatory pit stop. But that pit window isn't open yet, so the number 4 Lotus, who it looked like was just peeling off into the pit lane, this will be an unscheduled stop. And indeed, only 7 cars in that snake at the moment, the Lotus having peeled off into the pits. David Pern in the Aston Martin. We haven't seen that car since we saw it in the pit lane a lap or two ago, so not out on circuit yet. I'm sure we'll see if that car does come out. But it did take quite a bit of a whack, and you saw the mechanics and the engineers just frantically trying to fix the car. No indication yet of whether the 618 Aston Martin will be able to rejoin the race. It'll be a great shame to lose that car so early on. It did take a fairly hefty hit from the 868 McLaren, and we've already seen that McLaren having to retire, no longer in this race. 48.5 minutes still to go. Hopefully the safety car will be in soon, but the yellow flag's still waving, and you see that board there, the back of your picture, that's the safety car board, just to let the drivers know, in case there was any doubt, that safety car is out on track. And the lights still flashing on that Mercedes safety car, so no sign of the car coming in just yet. And just as we saw on the formation lap, you can see the cars weaving from side to side, because of course we're not going at racing speed at the moment, and those brakes and those tyres will be getting cold Guo Guoxin bringing up the rear. Now, this safety car period is good news for him because obviously we saw on the first lap that he was punted off by Luo Kailuo, had to restart from the back of the field. But, of course, the safety car has bunched everybody up. And with Luo Kailuo retiring and David Pan peeling off into the pits, as well as Mai Jiale in the Lotus, Guo Guoxin up into 7th place now, and it should be fun to watch him work his way up to the front of the field. Guo Guoxin considered one of the faster amateur drivers in China GT, and he'll be handing over to the New Zealander Will Bamber, the professional driver, for the second portion of the race. So that D2 Racing Mercedes, the number 22 yellow and grey car, there it is going through your picture now, in last place at the moment, but perhaps in a good position later on in the race. Guo Guoxin, a quick driver, and handing over to Will Bamber, the pro driver. So in theory, Will Bamber, the quicker of the two drivers, will have the second portion of the race to run. And the safety car lights are off. So the safety car will be coming in, and you can see now Dong Liang just backing the pack up now. You can't overtake under the safety car, so Dong Liang can essentially control the pace of the race. As they come round the final corner, the safety car comes in, and we're racing again in Tianjin. Dong Liang in first position, Chris Chia in second place, Rainy He in third position, Wang Hao in fourth place. As they come through the first corner, you hear the tyres screeching there. Those tyres still pretty cold at this point. Wang Hao getting very close to the back of Rainy He and challenging as they go through the right-hander, but Rainy He on the inside, I think, should have enough to keep Wang Hao at bay. Wang Hao up into fourth place. Of course, he started last after problems in qualifying when his time was disallowed. But up into fourth place and looking very racy indeed, climbing all over the back of the number 6 Mercedes of Rainy He. Wang Hao there going through the very tight section there, those very unforgiving concrete walls. In fifth place is the other FIS team Mercedes of Chi Pei-wen. And as they go through the tight right-hander, thankfully no drama this lap. They've all made it through without incident. Dong Liang still at the front. 45 minutes of the race still to go, 15 minutes gone, so we're about a quarter of the way through. And Rainy He just going a little bit, looked like he was going a bit defensive there, maybe trying to prevent Wang Hao from having a look up the inside as they go through the right-hander there. Wang Hao climbing all over the back of Rainy He. This is the main battle. As we see at the back there, Guo Guoxin looked like he was about to put a move on the 87 KTM of Wei Tianyi. Rainy He still in third place, but Wang Hao getting very close. Rainy He going defensive there, taking the inside line. But in doing so, when you go defensive and you take the inside to try to block the guy behind from overtaking, that compromises your lap as well, because you're not taking the ideal racing line. Wang Hao flashing his lights there. I'm sure Rainy He knows he's there, but if there was any doubt, Wang Hao just flashing his lights and letting him know. And Rainy He, you can see, dropping back from Chris Chia now, because in trying to keep Wang Hao behind, he's compromising his own race. He's not taking the ideal racing line. But the front four still fairly close together at this stage. Nobody really bolting away at the front. Dong Liang still in the lead. Chris Chia in second position. Still pretty close behind. So keeping Dong Liang honest as they go through this tight double left-hander. Onto this straight before turn 3, braking hard. This is where we had 2 incidents on the first couple of laps. Thankfully, nothing on this lap. And Guo Guoxin having a look up the inside and taking, does he? Yes. So Guo Guoxin up into 5th place. And Chi Pei-wen in the FIS team AAI BMW down into 6th position. So Guo Guoxin got a little bit of clear air now between himself and the 4th place man of Wang Hao. And Wang Hao, of course, having his own race compromised because he's stuck behind Rainy He, trying to find a way past. And Guo Guoxin will look to close that gap now. You see the Mercedes going through at the back of your picture there. Meanwhile, at the front, it's still Dong Liang in the lead. Chris Chia getting very close behind now in 3rd place. Rainy He Chris Chia in second place, sorry. Rainy He in third place. Chris Chia almost nudging the back of Dong Liang. Looks like Rainy He's managed to drop Wang Hao a little bit, so he's got a little bit of daylight now. But up at the front, Chris Chia getting very close behind Dong Liang. Dong Liang not bowing to the pressure, still in the lead as they go through the left-handers. This is turn 3, the tight right-hander, that then turns into turn 4. Very difficult to overtake in this section of the track, the S's here. But the drivers negotiate this bit, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Then we have that tight double left-hander at turn 9 and 10. Here it is, very tight, concrete walls on both sides and very difficult to see the apex of the corner. Very important to get a good exit from turn 10, because then you've got this long straight before hard breaking down into turn 11, where we've already seen a lot of drama. And again, turn 11 leads on to another long straight, so very important to get good drive into and out of turn 11, because we've already seen what a good overtaking opportunity that can be, as Dong Liang now brakes hard into turn 12 before another long straight. Plenty of long straights and plenty of good overtaking opportunities before the right-hander at turn 13. Another 90-degree turn. Lots of 90-degree turns here at the V1 Auto World Circuit in Tianjin. When Dong Liang still holding on to his lead, but Chris Chia keeping him honest at the front. The gap, well, you can see visually just how close the gap is as they come through the final corner. Dong Liang starting another lap, starting lap 5 here at Tianjin. And the gap just 0.34 seconds, with almost 20 minutes of the race having run and 40 minutes of the race still to go. The pit window opens when we've had 25 minutes of the race. So in 5 minutes time, that's when the pit window opens. That pit window will be open for 10 minutes. So each car in that 10-minute window must come in and make a mandatory pit stop. All those teams that have 2 drivers, that's when they do their driver change. But some of those cars out there today, like Wang Hao and Chi Pei-wen, they only have 1 driver, so Wang Hao and Chi Pei-wen will have to come in and just sit there twiddling their thumbs for their mandatory pit stop time before they then go out for the second half of the race. No need for them to change driver. Not the case, however, for Dong Liang, who will be handing over to Charlie Fag. Also for Chris Chia, who will be handing over to Alex Fontana. To Rainy He, who will be handing over to his teammate Wang Shi. And to Kuo Shin in 5th place at the back of the picture there. Closing up on Wang Hao. And Kuo Shin will be handing over to Will Bamber, the New Zealand driver, for the second portion of the race. So Dong Liang still in the lead there. That is Luo Kai-luo back in the pits, thankfully. Well, that is Charlie Fag, excuse me, not Luo Kai-luo, that's the other McLaren. So Charlie Fag getting ready, putting his helmet on. And the device that goes around the neck, that's called the HANS device, short for head and neck support. And that attaches to the helmet. And that is to protect the drivers in the event of a collision or an impact, when the driver's head might be forced forward or backwards. That attaches to the helmet so that the driver's head can't move too much in any direction to help prevent any sort of neck injury. That's a standard device that's been used in motorsport for over 15 years now across all forms of motorsport, and has helped prevent many injuries indeed. Motorsport these days can still be dangerous, but as many safety precautions as possible are taken, such as the safety car that we just seen, the HANS device that all the drivers use. And Dong Liang still at the front now. Chris Chia in 2nd place, still very close behind, but no way through just yet for Chris Chia. In 3rd place, still Rainy He. And in 4th place, it is still Wang Hao, up from 10th on the grid. And Luo Kai-luo, who we saw in the wars on the first couple of laps, tangling with both Kuo Shin, and then terminally on the following lap with David Pun, Both of those incidents are under investigation by the stewards. So if Guo Kailuo, or indeed if David Pan or Guo Guoxin are deemed to be at fault there for having caused a collision, then they may face some sanction. And obviously with Guo Kailuo not in the race anymore, then any sanction for that car would have to be applied in the following race, which will be tomorrow morning, round 10. This is round 9 of the 2019 China GT season, as Dong Liang goes through to start lap 10. His last lap a 1:46.7, Chris Chia a 1:46.8, Rainy He a 1:47.0. Wang Tao just dropping back a little bit, 1:48.1 his last lap. Chris Chia getting very close to the back of Dong Liang there. And Rainy He, I think those were the lap times for the previous lap, because the timing monitor has just been updated, and Rainy He in the number 6 Mercedes has just set a 1:46.3, and that is the fastest lap of anybody of the race so far. So Rainy He got the bit between his teeth there. In fact, everybody's been setting pretty fast laps. 1:46.6 for both Dong Liang and for Chris Chia. Guo Guoxin in 5th place on 1:46.7, so he's reeling in Wang Hao, who lodged a 1:47.5, so he lost some 0.8 of a second to Guo Guoxin on that lap. Guo Guoxin in 5th place, reeling in Wang Hao, and you can see at the back there, he looks noticeably closer. But Dong Liang still in the lead. At the front of the field, Chris Chia still in 2nd place, Rainy He still in 3rd. We're nearly halfway through the race, and great racing at the front there to see the front 3 so close together. In fact, the front 5 all in your picture there. Wang Hao in 4th position here, under pressure now from Guo Guoxin in 5th place. Guo Guoxin now very close behind Wang Hao, maybe going for a move up the inside, and Guo Guoxin challenging up the inside of Wang Hao. Not quite close enough there. It was a bit of a half-hearted move from Guo Guoxin. I think it's probably a good idea that he got out of that, because I don't think he would have made it past Wang Hao, and he probably would have tipped the BMW into a spin. So Guo Guoxin still in 5th place, Wang Hao living to fight another day in 4th position. And Dong Liang still at the front, Chris Chia still very close behind, Rainy He still in 3rd place. Guo Guoxin having a think about another look, but not quite close enough there. I wonder if he might dive up the inside of turn 11, where we saw all that action on the first couple of laps. Guo Guoxin, of course, knows all about what it's like to be overtaken, or to have somebody come up inside you at turn 11, because of course he was spun around by Guo Kailuo on that opening lap. But Dong Liang still in the lead as they come down to the hairpin. Chris Chia just weaving a little bit under braking, trying desperately to get his car stopped in time. Guo Guoxin, is he going to go for a little look? No, not this time. Wang Hao just too far ahead. But there's another long straight here. Rainy He going very much to the inside there. No chance of overtaking here, nor is there for Guo Guoxin, because he's not quite close enough to make a move on Wang Hao just yet. Wang Hao's mirrors will be full of the Mercedes, the 22 D2 Racing Mercedes AMG. But Wang Hao soaking up that pressure well at the moment, not being pressurized into a mistake. And good racing from all of these drivers at the front of the field at the moment. Dong Liang certainly withstanding a huge amount of pressure from Chris Chia and from He Xiaole. And this, the battle for 4th place, as Guo Guoxin comes into the pits. The pit window is open, and Guo Guoxin is the first driver that we've seen coming in. Well, they're all coming in now. That is Dong Liang. So Dong Liang from the race lead hops out. Charlie Fang, the British driver, comes in for his stint. Dong Liang did very well indeed, holding on to the lead. And Charlie Fang, the pro driver, coming in for the second portion of the race. This is the number 5 car, Chris Chia also having come in. And Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver, will take over for the second portion of the race. The mechanics there just checking tyre pressures. There is the option to change tyres if you so wish, but we don't often see that. Sometimes we do, but in general, they tend to stick with the same set of tyres all race long. Just checking the tyre pressures there. Rainy He, meanwhile, has not stopped, and he now leads the race. And when he comes in for his stop, he will hand over to his teammate Wang Shi. There we are, Charlie Fagg exiting the pit lane, as does Alex Fontana. So the two pro drivers exiting very close. It looked as if Alex Fontana just might have got out ahead of Charlie Fagg. Let's have a look and see if we can see the McLaren in the background now. There it is, there is the McLaren. So Alex Fontana ahead of Charlie Fagg, and that is Will Bamber having taken over from Guo Shin. So this should be interesting. All these drivers are professional drivers, and we have 32 minutes of the race still to go, and all three of them racing very close together. Meanwhile, further down the field, that is the 87 car of Wei Tianyi, the Extreme Motorsports KTM. Haven't seen too much of that car, but it's still in the race. But Alex Fontana now in the number 6 car. All the timing screen's a little bit skew-whiff at the moment, because some of the drivers are pitted and some of them haven't. So usually it takes a bit of time, usually a lap or so, just for everything to sort itself out. But there you see, there is Alex Fontana, the Swiss driver, going through the S's. Looks as if he's got a bit of a lead at the moment. And of course, that's not Alex Fontana. That is He Xiaole in the lead. My apologies, he's not stopped yet, and he leads the race. That is the 999 car of Wang Hao. Of course, he does not have a co-driver. He's driving the whole race himself, so he has to just simply sit on his marks there. All of these cars have an allotted time that they have to remain stationary as Wang Hao comes out again, and that time is denoted by the driver grading. Some of these driver pairings are Pro-Am, the likes of Charlie Fagg and Dong Yang, Ross Gunn and David Pun, Will Bamber and Guo Shin. All of them have a pro driver in their ranks, whereas some of the other driver pairings, for example, Wei Tianyi and Gao Yang, those two rated as amateur drivers. So Wei Tianyi and Gao Yang, for example, they will only be stopping for 51 seconds on their marks, whereas by contrast, Will Bamber and Guo Shin, Alex Fontana and Chris Chia, Rainy He and Yang Shi, all will have to stop for 73 seconds. So they stop for 22 more seconds. And this is a method used in GT racing to help balance out the field, a little bit like a handicap in golf. When you have a driver pairing that is theoretically faster, this is one way of balancing it out. The faster driver pairing, or the faster driver pairing in theory, will have to spend longer in the pit lane. As Alex Fontana there in the number 5 Mercedes, flashing his lights at Wang Hao, who gets out of the way. Wang Hao, that is for position. Wang Hao has no obligation to get out of the way. He's not being lapped, but Alex Fontana passing Wang Hao with relative ease. Wang Hao, another driver considered as an amateur driver, so perhaps not on the same level as Alex Fontana, and perhaps Wang Hao knew that it's not really his fight trying to keep Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver, behind. So Alex Fontana coming round to start another lap. As we look at Rainy He, still in the lead, still not having made his pit stop. Rainy He, the professional driver in that driver pairing, handing over to Yang Shi, his amateur counterpart. So Rainy He, as the professional driver, in theory he's faster than his teammate Yang Shi, so he will want to go as far into the race as possible before the pit window shuts, before he makes his pit stop. So I would think he'll be coming in not this lap. There's probably time for one more lap before he has to come in. But if you have the Pro-Am driver pairing, with the pro driver being the quicker one, in theory, then you want your pro driver to be driving the largest portion of the race. So that is why, for example, Alex Fontana, his teammate Chris Chia came in at the earliest possible moment to hand over to Alex Fontana, the pro driver, whereas He Xiaole will want to stay out for the longest possible amount of time before he hands over to his teammate Yang Shi. There you see the KTM, that very distinctive hood there. No doors on that car, the hood pops open and the windscreen with it, and that's how the driver gets in and out, the 87 car there. So Gao Yang in that car for the second portion of the race, having taken over from Wei Tianyi. You hear him revving the engine, tyres screeching, and off he goes back into the race. 2.5 minutes until the pit window shuts, and Rainy He will have to come in at some point. That's the number 5 car of Alex Fontana, still circulating in 4th position. As Charlie Fagg looking up the inside of Wang Hao. We saw Alex Fontana going up the inside a few laps ago. And now the McLaren, and a little bit of, well, it looked like some of the cone markers there just been knocked off. I didn't quite see who that was, but those cones now in the middle of the track, and that might cause a bit of a hazard. Maybe we'll need a yellow flag or even a safety car to get rid of those. I didn't quite see who that was, but somebody obviously went over those cones, which are used to demarcate the lines, or the line between the pit lane and the racing track. We'll see what happens there. But anyway, as we go down the long straight there, the 999 car of Wang Hao still ahead of the 570 car of Charlie Fagg, and Will Bamber in very close attendance. That is the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th at the moment, as Rainy He finally comes in for his pit stop. No tyres being changed there, but they're just checking the tyre pressures, the mechanics there. Rainy He coming out of the car, and Yang Shi, his teammate, going in for the second portion of the race, just being helped in there. And that is the BMW, the other BMW of Chi Pei-wen, another driver who has no teammate, so he's driving the whole race himself. Interesting to see the mechanics helping out when the drivers get out and in again, helping them strap themselves in. It can be very difficult to strap yourself in because that 5-point harness has to be very tight indeed. And sometimes the only way of doing that is with somebody else helping you. As Yang Shi rejoins the race, the pit window about to close. You can see those cone markers still on the track there, and Wang Hao just running over one of them there. I wonder if we might need a bit of a safety car to get rid of those, but Wang Hao just holding on to his position. Charlie Fagg going, or looking to go, up the inside. Wang Hao still holding on, living to fight another day. And Charlie Fagg now under pressure from New Zealander Will Bamber in the D2 Racing Mercedes as they go through the double left-hander at turns 9 and 10 onto the long straight. It looked as if Will Bamber got a good drive off turn 10, and that's very important because now you've got this long straight. Will Bamber, Charlie Fagg going defensive. Will Bamber no way through just yet. Charlie Fagg going very defensive, and that's compromised his exit. And I wonder if Will Bamber might have a second bite of the cherry now as they go onto the long straight before turn 12. Wang Hao in all of this still at the front. This is the battle for 4th position. Wang Hao in 4th, Charlie Fagg in 5th, Will Bamber in 6th as they go through the left-hander at turn 13. That's the 87th car, the Extreme Motorsports KTM of Gao Yang, just behind them in 7th place. In 8th position is now the Lotus, driven by Ye Xuan Hao. But this is where the action is at the moment, the battle for 4th position, which is now the battle for 2nd place after the pit stops. So Wang Hao in 2nd place. I said the timing screens sometimes take a bit of a lap to sort themselves out after we've had the pit stops. Those cones still on the track there, but no sign of any sort of yellow flag or safety car. Perhaps the race stewards have decided that they're not in a dangerous position. There's enough room for the cars to move through those cones. So the battle for 2nd place. Wang Hao in 2nd position. Alex Fontana in 3rd place. Alex Fontana, of course, leading the race. That is the 570 McLaren of Charlie Fagg in third position, and Will Bamber in the 22 Mercedes just dropping back a little bit. Perhaps some sort of problem, or perhaps he went a little wide. We didn't see that, but Alex Fontana, the Swiss driver, still leading the race. Wang Hao doing a very good job in second place. Just 7 seconds behind the race leader, Wang Hao, the amateur driver, so we might expect Charlie Fagg to overtake him at some point. Charlie Fagg, the British driver, the professional, but hasn't managed to find a way past just yet, and Will Bamber dropping back ever more. So I wonder if Will Bamber has some sort of an issue there, as Charlie Fagg just having a look up the inside, but no room there. But Dongliang, or Wang Hao, just looked as if he got a bit of a bad exit there, and that's compromised his next corner, but difficult to overtake in that twisty section of the track. So Wang Hao still in second position as they go through to start another lap, to start lap 19. Wang Hao in second place, Charlie Fagg in third place. Those cones still there, but the drivers seemingly managing to negotiate them fairly safely. And this is good stuff here from Wang Hao, managing to keep these drivers behind him. He's been looking in his mirrors pretty much all race, one way or another, and he's got his mirrors full of Charlie Fagg's McLaren at the moment, but the British driver not managing to find a way through. And Will Bamber has dropped back quite a bit, some 4 seconds a lap slower on that last lap. Charlie Fagg, no way through just yet, still in third place, and let's hear from Sophie in the pit lane.
好的，在我身旁，董亮呢，从第2位发车，我们刚刚开赛时候也做过采访，而且呢，其实一步已经赶到了第1位，虽然现在换乘之后是在第3，但你能跟我们分享一下，在你这个部分，尤其是因为队友车队的这个868的这个车组是遗憾退赛，能跟我们说一下发生了什么？
我的起步还算不错，然后在2号弯出弯，然后顺利的超过了我的前面那台车马丁，然后我就一直防守，但是很不幸，后来我的队友其实他也从后面追上来了，然后可能也比较着急，想超马丁吧，但我具体还不知道发生了什么，等会儿我会看一下回放，然后但是就是对我队友来说，今天是个不太好的一天，有点遗憾，但是希望我们这台车能够比较顺利的完成今天比赛，拿到更好的一个目标。因为这个赛道确实挺难超车的。我的队友，我刚刚看他过去还没有超过前面那台可能稍微比他慢一点的车，但是这就是比赛。然后我们希望我们能够在比赛结束的时候能够获得更好的名次。
好的，还有20分钟的时间，也希望 Charlie 能够发挥出色，你赶紧去看吧，谢谢董亮。So Dongliang mentioned about actually today in the second lap he already overtake the first car, so he's leading the race. However, when the car turning to Charlie, now is sitting on the third position. At the same time, he is feel it's a shame that his teammate car number 868 cannot finish the race. And now it's your time, Chris, back to your guys. 接下来转回到我们的解说间，稍后为您带来更多的采访。
And while we were hearing from Dongliang, you can see for yourself the safety car has come out, and that is as a result of the 87 KTM car having gone off. Here we see a replay, and Chi Pei-wen going up the inside of the KTM. Well, it didn't look as if there was too much in the way of contact, but that KTM clearly not able to continue. You see the rescue truck there. And of course, when there's that truck on the track, then the safety car has to come out and neutralise the race. I wonder if the stewards might use this, or the marshals might use this as an opportunity to clear away those bollards that had escaped onto the track just at the exit of the pit lane as well. But anyway, there we are. The safety car is out. The 87 car being moved. 18.5 minutes of the race still to go. Hopefully we'll get underway fairly shortly. And that means, of course, that the pack once again is bunched up. Positions still as they were. Alex Fontana still leading. Wang Hao in second place. Charlie Fagg in third position. In fourth place is Yang Shi. Fifth place is the number 17 car of Chi Pei-wen. And in 6th place is the number 22 car of Will Bamber. So that car dropped back quite considerably. And in fact, the last lap, some 10 seconds slower. So I wonder if that car perhaps has a problem, maybe a legacy of that first lap collision when we saw Kuo Kuo Shin being turned around by Luo Kailuo. But in any case, the 22 Mercedes doesn't look as if it's going as well as it might be. So disappointing for Will Bamber. And yeah, you can see there some concerned faces in the pits. That's the D2 Racing pit crew there. The safety car in this lap, you can see the lights off. The car's weaving to get some temperature into those brakes and tyres again. And we'll be going racing, thankfully, very shortly indeed. Just over a quarter of the race still to go. And we'll hopefully see a grandstand finish with Alex Fontana, Wang Hao and Charlie Fag all pushing hard. Alex Fontana has bolted there. You see the safety car pulling in. And Alex Fontana getting a very good restart. Green flag, and we're racing again once more at Tianjin. Alex Fontana in the lead. Wang Hao in 2nd place, Charlie Fag still 3rd. And in 4th place now, going up into 4th place, the number 6 Mercedes running wide there. And Will Bamber up into 4th position now. So Will Bamber up into 4th place. Yang Shi down into 5th position, and Chi Pei-wen going up the inside of Yang Shi and taking and going back into 5th position. So Chi Pei-wen back up into 5th place. So both BMWs still in the race. Chi Pei-wen in 5th place, Wang Hao in 2nd position. There is Wang Hao in 2nd place with Charlie Fag still all over the back of him. The British driver not managed to find a way through yet, but it looks as if he's close as they come through the the right-hand hairpin. Charlie Fag having a look up the inside, not quite close enough. But thankfully we didn't see a replay of lap 1 when Kuo Kuo Shin was snagged by Luo Kailuo. Good clean racing there. Ross Gunn having a look but managing to get out of it, getting out of the way. Still in 3rd place, and Will Bamber, whatever problem he had, it seems to have sorted itself out because he's up at racing speed again and challenging Charlie Fag for 3rd position. Alex Fontana still at the front. Wang Hao in 2nd place. Charlie Fag in 3rd. Will Bamber having a little look up the inside in 4th. Not a serious move that, but perhaps just letting Charlie Fag know that he's there, flashing his lights as well, really putting the Briton under pressure there. Will Bamber perhaps looking to make up for lost time and going to the inside there. Will Bamber not quite close enough. Charlie Fag still in 3rd place. Will Bamber still in 4th. And that incident that we saw on the replay there involving the 87 KTM and the 17 BMW of Chi Pei-wen under investigation, as Will Bamber looking to go around the outside, but no way through there. The New Zealander putting Charlie Fag under a lot of pressure. And let's go to the pit lane and hear more from Sophie now.
好的，在我身旁的是5号车组的谢安，他们今天呢是从第4位发车，但是现在已经是领先的状况了。谢安能跟我们说一下今天发车的这个部分，尤其是因为我们有黄旗的这个过程，有安全车带领，所以大家有这样一个部分，跟我们分享一下你的这个部分，以及尤其是因为是车手积分榜现在榜首嘛，会不会每一场比赛都小心谨慎一些？
确实是因为要赢下一整个赛季的锦标赛确实不容易，所以今天我们发车的时候也是采取比较保守的一个策略。然后我们可以看到在第1号弯到3号弯之间都发生一些事故，我们也是避开了这个事故。然后在我手上赛车是上升了2个位置，并且追着领先的头车进入了维修区。那么我的这些同事车队的这些工作人员做了非常出色的工作，所以我们在维修区内完成了超越。那么现在 Alex 正在赛道上领跑，希望他可以用第1名的成绩带回来。
好的，非常感谢谢安。那Chris just mentioned about that it's very good weekend for them to start the whole race, and for his turn, he's very happy overtake 2 cars and coming back to the pit in 2nd position, and also cross back to the Alex Fontana is now leading the race, and as you can see, they just try to avoid the accidents happen between turn 1 to turn 3. So far so good. 那接下来时间就让我们一起共同期待5号车组的 Alex 的表现了，好吗？ Now cross back to you guys and cross finger for car number 5.
Yeah, Yes, Chris Cheer with a very good stint. He certainly laid some very solid foundations for his teammate Alex Fontana, who is still leading the race. So a very good race all round for Phantom Pro Racing, for Chris Cheer and his teammate Alex Fontana leading the race. Teammate in the number 6 car, He Xiaole and Yang Shi, still running in 6th position. But Alex Fontana still at the front. Wang Hao still holding on to 2nd place. A very good race indeed from Wang Hao. Don't forget, he's considered to be an amateur driver, and he's at the moment holding his own against the likes of Charlie Fagg and Will Bamber, the professional drivers. And of course, don't forget, he's done the whole race on his own. He's not swapping over. So Wang Hao, a really, really good race so far in the 999 BMW. But he's under pressure now, again, from Charlie Fagg, who in turn is under pressure from Will Bamber. Great to see such close racing with just over 10 minutes of the race still to go. Wang Hao in 2nd position. Charlie Fagg in 3rd place. And Will Bamber in 4th position. There you see the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Will Bamber kicking up a little bit of dust on the exit of the final corner. Chi Pei-wen in 5th place. Yang Shi in 6th position. Those 6 cars all still running. And Will Bamber weaving this way and that. This still the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. Wang Hao still holding his own though. Charlie Fagg not managing to find a way through. And of course Charlie Fagg has a double problem, because not only does he have to find a way past Wang Hao, but he's also got to find a way to keep Will Bamber behind him. So he's got to attack and defend, and Will Bamber looked as if he was going around the outside there, but there is absolutely no way to overtake around that very tight turn 9, turn 10 complex. But Will Bamber setting himself up well as they come along the long straight, and Charlie Fagg likewise looking up the inside. But again, that BMW does seem to have very good straight line speed, because Charlie Fagg never quite seems close enough whenever he comes to try an overtaking move at turn 11, or indeed at 12 or 13, which also follow long straights. Wang Hao clearly driving very well in the BMW. He's clearly got that car set up just as he likes it, and he's having a very good race. Charlie Fagg still 3rd, Will Bamber still 4th, Chi Pei-wen in 5th place, and Yang Shi bringing up the rear in 6th position. Alex Fontana, of course, still leading the race. We haven't seen a great deal of him in the last few minutes, because we've been looking at the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, which is this battle here between Wang Hao, Charlie Fagg and Will Bamber. But Alex Fontana still up at the front. There you see him just going through your picture now. And there's a drive-through penalty for the number 17 car of Chi Pei-wen as Charlie Fagg looks up the inside. Again, no way through, and now Charlie Fagg has his mirrors full once again of Will Bamber. Charlie Fagg using all the road and more there on the exit and going defensive, as Will Bamber has a look around the outside. Very hard to go overtake there. Will Bamber going side by side with Charlie Fagg. As they go through the S's, there's almost no way you can overtake through these S's. Very difficult to pass there. And Chi Pei-wen, confirmation that he has a drive-through penalty. That is for the incident involving the 87 car of Gao Yang that we saw pull off a few laps ago, that brought out the safety car. Meanwhile, Will Bamber weaving this way and that, looking for a way past Charlie Fagg, who is himself looking for a way past Wang Hao, but no way of doing that just yet. Wang Hao still holding his own, and Alex Fontana still in the lead there. But as they come through, Charlie Fagg having a look up the inside, and this time is he close enough as they bang wheels? Charlie Fagg forces his way through, a little bit of bodywork flying off there, and Will Bamber makes it through as well. So poor old Wang Hao, having held on so long to 2nd place, ahead of Charlie Fagg and Will Bamber, now down to 4th place. Charlie Fagg barging his way through there, clearly getting a little bit impatient. He'd been waiting behind Wang Hao for long enough, clearly decided enough was enough, I'm going to go through. And Charlie Fagg up into 2nd place now. Will Bamber in 3rd place, and Alex Fontana still in the lead. Charlie Fag in second, Will Bamber in third, Wang Hao falling away just a little bit in fourth place. And this is the battle now between Will Bamber and Charlie Fag, the New Zealander versus the British driver. But Charlie Fag still in the lead as they go through the double right-hander. In second position now, Charlie Fag. In third place, Will Bamber. 7.5 minutes to go, which by my reckoning is about 4 more laps of racing. So Will Bamber has 4 laps to try to find his way past Charlie Fag, and his best bet might be on this long straight, but Charlie Fag just pulling away a little bit there. No way through for Will Bamber, who is still in third place. Alex Fontana some 9 seconds ahead now as a result of these 3 squabbling amongst themselves. The Swiss driver has had pretty serene progress at the front since he stepped into the car after the mid-race pit stop. Not really had too much to deal with. He's just got to keep on keeping on at the front of the field. Meanwhile, these 3 drivers still going at it, hammer and tongs. The battle for second place with Charlie Fag in the McLaren, leading Will Bamber in the Mercedes and Wang Hao in the BMW. So 3 different makes of cars in this 3-car battle. Nice to see so many different manufacturers being represented in the GT4 category here at Tianjin for the China GT Championship. 6 minutes still to go. Alex Fontana just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:44.9, and that just shows how quickly you can go when you're not being held up by anybody and you haven't got to keep anybody behind you. As into the pits comes Chi Pei-wen, and that will be for the drive-through penalty that was imposed on him for that incident with the 87 KTM crossbow. We saw that yellow car being towed away a few minutes ago, and that brought out the safety car for the second time in this race. Meanwhile, we're still racing now. No sign of the safety car again, thankfully, just yet. And those bollards do seem to have been cleared away at turn 1 as well. So nothing on track at the moment. The drivers can just concentrate on some nice clean racing for the remaining 5 minutes of this race. With Charlie Fag still in the lead, Will Bamber still keeping him honest in second place. That Mercedes just doesn't quite seem to have the straight line speed of the McLaren. Does look as if the Mercedes is quicker in the corners. But Charlie Fag still holding on to second place. Will Bamber still in third, getting much closer through those corners there. And Wang Hao still keeping them honest in fourth place. Driven a very good race, Wang Hao, driving the whole race in his BMW, the 999 Team Master Champ car. Charlie Fag in the McLaren in second place. Will Bamber in the Mercedes in third place. Wang Hao in the BMW in fourth place, as Will Bamber kicking up dust once again on the exit of the final turn at turn 17 and getting very close to the back of the McLaren of Charlie Fag as they go through the first couple of corners. There you see no sign of those bollards again. Thankfully they've been removed, as Will Bamber going for a look around the outside. He had a look around there a couple of laps ago, but it's very difficult to overtake. But he's now got the inside line, but unluckily for him, it's these sweeping S-bends, these series of corners that are very difficult to overtake on. And Charlie Fag lives to fight another day, with Will Bamber still very much breathing down his neck as they go through the double left-hander at turns 9 and 10. Will Bamber going now to the outside of the track. Charlie Fag, is he going defensive? Well, Will Bamber weaving this way and that, having a little look, but no way past there. Charlie Fag still in second place. Will Bamber almost nudging the back of the Briton there as they go through turn 11 onto this long straight, the longest straight on the track, before hard braking down to the right-hander at turn 12. There it is, a bit of curb hopping there. Thankfully we've not seen any punctures like we saw at Ningbo a couple of weekends ago, earlier in the season. We saw a few cars coming proper there, running over the curbs, and punctures But thankfully none of that today, with just 3 minutes of the race still to go. 6 cars still in the race. Unfortunately, the 618 Aston Martin of Ross Gunn and David Punn didn't manage to get back out. We saw them in the pit lane with all sorts of gaffer tape being applied to the bodywork of that car, but perhaps the front suspension damage was just too much. We did see the mechanics having a very close look at the front axle, just making sure that the front wheels were moving okay, but obviously decided that it was too dangerous to continue, or that the repair job would have taken longer than the 1 hour that is allotted for this race. And we've had 58 minutes of that 1 hour now, with just over 2 minutes remaining. Charlie Fagg still in second place, some 12.8 seconds behind Alex Fontana now, so it does look as if it's all over bar the shouting, and that Alex Fontana and Chris Chia will be the winners of round 9 here at Tianjin. But meanwhile, there is certainly all to play for second place, because that is the battle. Those 3 cars, Charlie Fagg, Will Bamber and Wang Hao, all line astern, second, third and fourth. Charlie Fagg still ahead, Will Bamber still in second place, and Wang Hao still in third place, beg your pardon, and Wang Hao still in fourth. Wang Hao just dropping back a little bit, and I wonder if he might be looking to pick up the pieces if Will Bamber attempts a last lap do-or-die lunge down the inside of Charlie Fagg. We've seen Charlie Fagg himself being quite forceful, forcing his way past Wang Hao for second place a few laps ago, and then Will Bamber following through. And Alex Fontana there, the race leader, comes through to start his last lap. So lap 29. It's been pretty serene progress for Alex Fontana, the Swiss driver, so far in this race. We heard from his teammate Chris Chia, who's also his team boss, who drove very well in the first portion of the race to set up some good foundations for Alex Fontana to hop into the car for the second half of the race. Fontana has been helped somewhat by this battle for second place, because while these 3 have been squabbling among themselves, they've been not lapping as quickly as they might be, and that's allowed Alex Fontana to extend his lead at the front to some 12.8 seconds now. Will Bamber still looking for a way past Charlie Fagg. These 2 battling all race long and right up until the checkered flag. Very good racing here at Tianjin at this V1 Auto World Circuit. 15 turns and plenty of overtaking opportunities, as we've seen already this morning. So this is it now. Will Bamber, if he wants to make it by, has got to do it in the next few corners, but Charlie Fagg just holding off there. Will Bamber does seem to get very, very close in the corners, but the McLaren seems to have the edge on the straights. It's always very interesting in GT racing when you have different manufacturers producing different cars, and then they have different characteristics. Some cars are quicker at some portions of the track, and other cars quicker in other sections. And I think that's what we've got here between the McLaren and the Mercedes, because Will Bamber does seem to get very close in the corners. The McLaren seems to have the legs on the straights. And Charlie Fagg still in second position as Alex Fontana rounds the last corner to take the checkered flag and win round 9 here at Tianjin. So a great win for Alex Fontana and for his teammate and team boss Chris Chia. And as they come round the last corner, it's still Will Bamber going very wide, but still couldn't find a way through. Charlie Fagg takes second place, Will Bamber in third, and Wang Hao a very promising fourth place. So those are your top 4. That is the Mercedes garage. A few smiles, but perhaps there. That is the number 6 car of He Xiaole and Yang Qi coming through in 5th place, and in 6th place Chi Pei-wen bringing up the rear after that drive-through penalty. But up at the front, the day belongs to Alex Fontana and Chris Chia in the number 5 Phantom Pro Racing car. There you see, congratulations all round. There is Chris Chia, still in the overalls. He's also the team boss, talking to everyone, congratulating people and receiving the good wishes from well-wishers there in the pit lane. Alex Fontana there on his victory lap,
Must be one of the most satisfying moments in racing, knowing that you've won the race, you can just enjoy it, and then come into the pits and receive the adulation of your pit crew, your teammates, your mechanics, your engineers, and all the well-wishers involved in that Phantom Pro Racing team. It's been a good morning's racing here at Tianjin at the V1 Auto World Circuit. Very interesting track. And as we've seen, plenty of opportunity for overtaking and plenty of opportunity for thrills and spills across these 15 corners. That is the chicane at turn 14 and 15 that Alex Fontana's just negotiating now. And you'll see him and all the other drivers now coming in, peeling off into the pit lane. And we'll hopefully hear from the drivers very soon indeed. Some spare bodywork there on from the BMW FIS team garage. Thankfully that wasn't needed this afternoon. There you see the Phantom Pro Racing team, Chris Chia and the rest of his crew very happy with the morning's work. Alex Fontana hopping out of his car there, receiving the congratulations. There he is. Not his first win in China GT, but his first season racing in China GT, Alex Fontana. As it is for, well, Charlie Fagg had a few races last year as well. The British driver, a very experienced driver, having driven in British GT. Charlie Fagg finishing in second place, and Will Bamber, a very experienced campaigner in China GT and in motorsport in Asia in general, the New Zealand driver, finishing in third place, along with his driver Kuo Kuo Shin this weekend. So we'll hear from the drivers very shortly in Parc Fermé once they've sorted themselves out, got rid of their helmets and spoken to their teams. We'll be going down there very shortly. Thankfully, no rain today. We had torrential rain last time out at Qinhuangdao and also in the previous round at Shanghai. And over the course of both those race weekends, we had races being cut short. But as you can see today, no such problems here in Tianjin. Confirmation of the result there. Alex Fontana and Chris Chia winning the race. Charlie Fagg and Dong Liang in second place. Will Bamber and Kuo Kuo Shin third. Wang Hao in fourth place. In fifth place, the second Phantom Pro Racing car of Rainy He and Yang Qi. And the last classified finisher, Qi Pei-wen, in the number 17 FIS Team AAI BMW. Non-finishers included Wei Tianyi and Gao Yang in the 87 KTM. The number 4 car of Mai Jiale and Ye Xuanho also not finishing the race. And then at the beginning we saw collision between the 618 Aston Martin of David Pun and the 868 McLaren of Luo Kailuo, ultimately proved to be terminal for both of those cars. So the safety car and the medical car just making their way round as well. Thankfully, we didn't see the medical car. We very rarely do in China GT. But the safety car came out on a couple of occasions. Been a bit busier than perhaps the safety car driver would have liked. And there you see the rescue truck there. Very important for rescuing those cars that end up beached for whatever reason, through mechanical or through some sort of incident on track. And of course, when you have the safety equipment and safety vehicles like that on track, the only option is to throw a safety car and neutralize the race. It'd be very dangerous indeed to go racing at full speed with that sort of vehicle on track. Those umbrellas you see there, that's to keep the sun off. That's not for the rain. It is very hot here in Tianjin. Temperatures expected to reach 37 degrees this weekend. But I'm sure the drivers would rather race in these sunny conditions than in the torrential rain that we saw last week in Qinhuangdao, or last month, I should say, in Qinhuangdao, and also the previous race weekend in Shanghai. So that was round 9. We'll have round 10 tomorrow morning, and the driver order will be reversed. So the drivers who are finishing this race, the likes of Alex Fontana, Will Bamber, Charlie Fagg. They'll be starting the race next time out tomorrow morning for round 10. And that is Charlie Fagg's car, the 570 McLaren. And he'll be starting the next race and handing over to Dong Liang for the second portion of the race. Charlie Fagg finishing today's race in second position after a good race-long battle with Will Bamber and Wang Hao, and a little bit of contact as well from Charlie Fagg, forcing his way past Wang Hao a few laps before the end. And the winning cars just pulling in there, usually into the pit lane, but this time just on the start-finish straight. There you see them in order. The first place car, the number 5 Phantom Pro Racing. The second place car, the 570 winning team McLaren. The winning team, confusingly, is the name of the team. That's not the fact that they've won the race, because they haven't today. They finished second. And in third place, the D2 Racing Mercedes, driven by Will Bamber and Kuo Kuo Shin. We'll hopefully be hearing from the drivers soon. Always interesting to hear from the drivers as soon as they've got out of the cockpit, while the race is still fresh in their minds. And the podium ceremony just to the right there as well. And we'll be bringing you that very shortly as it happens. So, interesting to hear from the drivers. And let's go down to the grid now and hear more with Sophie.
好的，在这里祝贺在我身旁的5号车组2位车手谢安和 Alex Fontana 是获得了我们在天津站的第1回合正赛的 GT4 组别的冠军。Congratulations for both of you。先从谢安开始吧，因为其实今天的这场获胜，应该说是真的是特别期待的一场胜利了。那么今天跟我们谈一下整场比赛你印象最深的环节，以及你觉得今天的比赛成绩是否非常的满意？
对，首先这个拿到冠军肯定是特别满意的。然后今天我觉得在第一段，因为出动了安全车，所以比赛是一个比较混乱的一个情况。我们能做的最好的就是把车留在赛道上，然后尽可能的往前争这个位置。然后我们在25分钟的时间里面上升了2个位置，然后紧贴着前车进入了维修区，然后。在维修区，我们的这个伙计然后干了非常好的工作，所以在维修区完成了超越，然后等把赛车交给 Alex 以后 ，Alex 的表现是一如既往的好，然后所以对于这个结果我也特别高兴。
非常感谢谢安。So Chris mentioned about actually, as you can see, for the first part of the race, it's in chaotic situation because leading by the safety car as well as some accidents. For the first part, he can overtake the 2 cars in 25 minutes. It's a very good result. At the same time, the crew member in the pit work in a really cohesive way. And Alex, a very good result for today. How is the preparation going on this weekend? Especially, probably this is the first time for you here in Tianjin to have this kind of racing experience. Right?
Yeah, it was the first time on this racing track, and this, I have to say, is very nice. It's very fun to drive. It was a bit more difficult for me in qualifying, but we learned straight away what was going on in the car, and Chris made a fantastic job in qualifying too, which is going to help us tomorrow. And today he did also a fantastic job because in Sepang I started the race, I built a gap, and he finished the race with a consistent gap. In this case, it was the other way around. So he built a gap for me, and the mechanics at the pit stop with a very fast pit stop, and then I just had to save the tires until the end.
Thank you so much, Alex. Alex 呢跟大家总结了一下，其实大家都知道这条赛道呢是一条比较新的赛道，对于他来说呢也是第一次能够在天津国际赛车场来比赛，很有趣的一条赛道。而今天呢，就是因为有他的好搭档谢安能够有保持这样的一个距离到第2的位置，而给 Alex 有充足的空间在接下来的比赛当中进行发挥，很好的一个组合，很好搭档。再次祝贺2位 ，Congratulations one more time, Spectators guys。接下来转回到我们的解说间。
Yes, nice to hear Alex Fontana and Chris Chia paying tribute to the slick work done by the pit crew. And nice to hear Alex Fontana's comments about the Tianjin track. The first time that he's driven here, and clearly it's as much fun to drive for the drivers as it is to watch for the spectators. And let's hear more from Sophie now.
好的，在我身旁的570号赛车两位车手董亮和 Charlie 是获得 GT4 组别亚军。董亮，那其实你也说过了，就是我们这个作为摄制队呢，希望每一场比赛是稳扎稳打。那今天的这个成绩，从第2位发车，最后又拿到第2，你自己觉得是不是意料之中的，或者是会不会有点遗憾，没有办法能够冲击冠军的宝座？
我们的目标是保2争1。那今天的比赛呢，其实开始呢是照着我们的设想去走的，但是可能因为我们队友也。遗憾的退赛，然后中间呢可能安全车啊、间距啊各方面呢会有一些原因。那其实我们看了一下，还是停靠的时间太长了，然后出去的时候正好在他后面，然后又被挡住了，然后就没有机会跟第1名发生一些可能竞争的状况。所以当然也恭喜第1名啊。那对于我们车队来说也是一个不错的结果吧，算是。
好，非常感谢董亮。董亮 mentioned about actually today, as you can see, the race is quite harsh to race, and especially you can see, especially their teammate Charlie has fantastic job at the same time because the other car number 868 is unfortunately quit the race, but as you can see, they have a longer period of time stay in the pit, which lead to the 2nd place at the end. But all in all, congratulations to the other car. At the same time, they already keep the 2nd position and the fight for the winner. Charlie, congratulations for the 2nd position. At the same time, how do you think about the race here in Tianjin International Circuit? New experience, how do you think about the track?
I think the track's really, really cool. It's great that we come to all these circuits every year, new circuits in China. It's brilliant to try and tackle a new track and learn for myself, but I'm really enjoying the track at the moment. It's just quite hot.
Thank you so much, Charlie. 那 Charlie 呢也说了，其实每一次跟着 China GT 一起进行比赛的时候呢，每一个赛季我们都可以看到，在国内呢会有更多的新的赛道来进行体验和挑战。天津国际赛车场呢就是其中的一条。所以呢，对于 Charlie 来说，他说这真的是一条非常酷的赛道。那当然呢，除了有一点点热之外就好了。再次恭喜2位。那接下来时间将我们现场转交回解说间，稍后呢有我们的颁奖仪式。Now, spectators, guys, we have our awarding ceremony coming soon.
Thank you, Sophie. And good to hear from Charlie Fag and Dong Liang there. Charlie Fag, another driver, very complimentary about this track, the V1 Auto World Circuit here in Tianjin. Another new facility. The China GT Championship takes in several different circuits. Sepang in Malaysia, Ningbo, Shanghai, Qinhuangdao, and here in Tianjin. And now let's have a look at some of the best action this morning in Tianjin.
好的，在精彩的这个颁奖仪式结束之后呢，今天下午的2点半的时间呢，我们还将欣赏到的是China GT 的在天津站 GT3 和 GTC 2个组别1个小时的第1回合正赛。所以希望我们的各位观众朋友在享受完午餐之后，记得在2点半的时候准时收看我们下午的直播，我们不见不散。Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after this awarding ceremony this afternoon at 2:30 p.m., we still have one more race to go, and please stay tuned with us. See you very soon this afternoon.